That's pretty neat.
What's going on, you guys? TBR here, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be giving you guys all the information you need on the latest in-game update for the King of Fighters All-Star for the 11.26 update, including SS Terry and SS Mary, and so many events. Oh boy, this is going to be a long video. But before we get into all of that, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. And without further ado, we got a lot to cover, so let's get into it. So the first thing that you guys are going to need to know, and I will have links to all of this stuff in the description, but the first thing that you guys are going to want to be aware of is because this is going to be a formal update, you are going to have a maintenance later on this evening. So you guys are going to need to make sure that you get all of your dailies done before this maintenance time comes up. So make sure that you figure out what this is for your time zone and adjust accordingly for your plans for your daily missions. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the update breakdown. So the first thing we'll take a look at here is going to be the update notice. So we are going to be talking about this trailer in this video. However, I'm going to be doing that at the end, and I will have timestamps in the description so that way you guys can kind of skip there if you need to. But I would definitely recommend that you stick around for the rest of this breakdown because there is a lot to talk about. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and cover is of course going to be the new SS banner. We knew that we were going to be seeing SS Terry added into the game. This was something that they had confirmed with the Korean dev video, but then we also have his partner, which a lot of people had theorized, a lot of different characters. Terry has a lot of candidates for a partner for a banner, but of course they went with the waifu, and so we do have Blue Mary here. Now, if we take a look at the typings, we have Terry coming in as a red attack type, and then of course we have Blue Mary as a blue defense type. Fitting. But when it comes to the typings, overall pretty good stuff. Mary, of course, is going to be a blue defensive type, so that is going to be particularly good for reviving Hell's Dungeon. And in general, this is stuff that is pretty nice overall, looking like Terry's probably going to be a high damage dealer. But then again, when it comes to these typings anymore, you never know. For all we know, Mary as the blue defense type could end up outpacing him on damage. We never know. So in the end, we'll have to wait and see what these kits look like. Of course, we have no information whatsoever on that yet. However, we do know what the typing and the characters are going to be, so good stuff overall. Now, of course, we are going to be able to combine memories to potentially get a memory for these characters from the Dimension Exchange or the Memory Exchange, whatever you want to call it. But in general, that is something we've had before and pretty much standard with any of these new banners. We are also going to be able to craft up to 2 SS generic memories using any 3 random memories from any SS characters that we might have in our inventory. So that's something that they usually bring around with these SS banners. So good stuff. Nice to see that back. Now, of course, we are going to have new cards. As you guys can see, we are going to have new 3PG cards for both Terry and Mary, as well as the new option card listed there. No idea on what any of these do, but we will cover that in tomorrow's video. Then you guys are going to see that each one of these 3PG finishers is also going to carry with it a random effect whenever you pull it. So this is going to be something else that you're going to be able to get from these cards. We've talked about this before. This is something that they started kind of setting a precedent for during the Guilty Gear collaboration. So pretty nice to see that that is coming back. This didn't end up being as tough and as much of a pain in the butt as we had initially thought months ago when they started to introduce it. So this isn't that big of a deal, and should be pretty nice overall for your CP depending on which one you get. Now, when we take a look at the new card set, if you guys know anything about me, I love this card art. So this card art is amazing. Now, of course, we had theorized that potentially Rock Howard would be Terry's partner on this banner, and of course that did not happen. However, he's here in spirit as we do have the Agonized Young Wolf, and this set is going to be some pretty nice art, so I'm hoping that the overall effects are good, but hey, we'll have to wait and see. Again, we have no information. Now, when it comes to what we got here, we are going to have a new Rush Dungeon we're going to talk about, but this card set, which is already in the game, the Through Darkness set, we've had this for several months, is coming back. As you guys can see here, this is going to be a set that you can go ahead and pick up through the exchange shop in the Rush Dungeon. So this is going to be nice for people who missed it the first time around, but for those of us that already have it, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, if you don't end up using it, you can always fodder it. So it's always an option, but definitely a nice set. a good little set to have, so good stuff. Now, when we take a look at this is just going to list all the cards. Not much to talk about there, so we can kind of move on. We've already kind of gone through that. Now, we do have something very unexpected with this update. As you guys can see, Adelheid and Rock Howard, the original best versions of these characters, are going to be getting buffed. So we're going to go ahead and go through these, and we'll start off with Adelheid. So first up here, you guys are going to notice on his S1, we are going to have an increase. And again, they always list whatever they've changed in red, so you guys will be able to kind of tell the difference pretty easily. But here we have an effect that he uses to increase his attack by 28% for 7 seconds on the S1. Now it is going to be 35% instead of 28%. So he is going to get a nice little buff to his attack there. So good stuff. Next up on the S2, we are going to have a whole new line of text here. So as you guys can see, they are adding the ability to get a 70% chance to reset the cooldowns upon a successful attack on a cooldown of 15 seconds. Whenever they list this type of thing, it could mean that it's just going to reset this one skill or all the skills. I would assume that it's just going to reset the S2, but we'll have to wait and see whenever it gets added in. Either way, this is really, really good, and so hopefully Adelheid will be in a better position. Neither of these characters, spoiler alert, are going to be anything that are top tier meta characters, but at the same time, it is nice to see that they are getting buffed. Now, next up here on the S3, getting back into Adelheid's buffs, you are going to notice that originally he had a 50% chance to stun the enemy for 2 seconds when a successful skill guard included ended. Now he has a 70% chance to stun the enemy for 2 seconds. So this is an increase of 20%, so good stuff. He also has a whole new line of text here, meaning that this can now be a interrupt. So the S3 is now an interrupt. It is while standing, so it is not airborne, but still, this is definitely going to be beneficial for him. So in general, liking what I'm seeing. Now, on the cores, we are going to have a whole new line of text right here on the inherent ability core. This is going to deal additional damage equal to 70% of attack upon landing attacks on a shocked target. So, good stuff. This is going to help him with his overall damage output. Adelheid was never one of the worst Fest characters on the unified banner. However, he isn't necessarily in a good spot whatsoever. And again, I don't think that any of these buffs to either of these characters is going to really help them that much, at least in the capacity of making them meta, but you do like to see that they're trying to give them attention. Now, finally, on the Sir Bernstein core, we are going to have another line of text that was added. This is going to gain 20% power when the combo count is 10 or higher on a cooldown of 10 seconds. So in general, I think Adelheid got some really nice buffs here. Again, this isn't going to make him anything tier 0 or tier 1, but at the same time, good stuff. You like to see these old characters get attention, especially for people that may not have a lot of the SS and BS characters laying around, or people that just got into the game. So, we are going to talk about Rock Howard here. So, when we talk about Rock Howard, we're going to start out with the S1, which is going to be Rapukin EX. And as you guys can see, all they've done here is increased his penetration amount from 600 to 1500. This is a lot of penetration for an increase. So overall, it's over double. Nice stuff to see. When it comes to Rock Howard, this is a character that is not good. So hopefully this stuff will at least make him somewhat okay, but at the same time, I'm not going to hold my breath. I looked through these already, and none of this stuff seems like it's going to... Rock's one of those characters that would need a whole new rework in order to really be relevant, so he's kind of in that position. So, on to Hard Edge, which is the S2. Now, when it comes to the S2 here, we have this PvP exclusive on the S2, and as you guys can see, what they've changed here is the duration. So we had originally a decrease to attack by 70% for 3 seconds when successfully hitting a target with super or hyper armor, and now that effect is going to last for 6 seconds. So I went ahead and doubled the overall duration, so good stuff. Next up here, we're going to talk about the S3. Now, of course, on the S3, originally wasn't doing a whole lot. However, they have added a whole new line as well as increased one of these effects. So as you guys can see, the used to increase attack by 27% for 7 seconds is now used to increase attack by 35% for 7 seconds. So overall, nice little bump there. But the big thing here is he now becomes immune to damage for 3 seconds. This is really, really good. And as you guys may or may not notice, there is pretty much not going to be much else on here for him when it comes to the skills. However, this right here is going to probably be arguably the most important thing out of all these things we've talked about so far for this character. So in general, I do think that it is going to help him, but again, I'm not seeing these characters as being meta. Now, next up on the cores, we have Ancient Martial Arts plus Martial Arts, and as you guys can see, they've changed a few things here. So basically on this first effect here, which was upon landing Reppuken EX skill guard included, you had a 100% chance to reset the cooldown of Hard Edge. Well, now the cooldown went from 15 seconds originally to 10 seconds. So this is going to be very beneficial for Rock. Overall, it's going to allow him to reset his cooldown just that much faster on Hard Edge, so good stuff. And then finally here on this core, we are going to have the addition of Frozen here to this part of the core. So originally he recovered HP by 5% every second for 3 seconds when he was petrified or stunned. Now it is petrified, stunned, or frozen. So in general, Frozen isn't necessarily the most pertinent thing. It isn't the thing you see very often, but at the same time, nice to see they added something. And then finally here, on Terry's Student, we are going to have a couple of changes. So originally it decreased our damage received by 4% for 5 seconds when attacked if our HP was 49% or less, and that's stacked up to 10. Now it decreases our damage received by 10%, so we jump from 4 to 10, and it's going to have all the same effects, except for now it stacks up to 5 and not 10. So they went ahead and actually nerfed this part of it, but then again, they over doubled this percentage here. So I guess that was more of a balance thing, but at the same time, it's like, it's Rock. It's Rock. Who cares? Like, you could have just left that alone, and I don't think it would have made an enormous difference for this character. But at the same time, it is what it is. So in general, like I said, guys, buffs to both of these characters were unexpected, but welcome. And I don't see anything in here that's going to make either of them tier 1. But at the same time, you'll love to see it. So with all that being said, you guys, take a deep breath and get on to the next part. So this is a lot of stuff. So we are going to have new imprint stones with SS, Mary, and Terry. This is stuff that we pretty much see standard with any of these new limited banners. We don't know what these new stones are going to do just yet, but we'll cover that in tomorrow's video. Now, this is where we get into the good stuff, guys. So we have the new content. And it's not content that's just characters, which again, I don't consider content, but we get a new dungeon. Now we had kind of gotten allusions to this in that dev video. So basically we are going to be getting the Guild Boss Challenge dungeon. And so basically, as you guys can see here, we'll kind of read through it. A new guild dungeon is added where you can battle guild bosses by tier with your guild members and clear stages. The Guild Boss Challenge coins can be obtained from the dungeon and can be exchanged for Guild Boss Challenge mystery boxes in the dungeon exchange shop. So it does look like we are going to have an exchange shop for these coins that we get from this dungeon. So basically though, as you guys can see, this is going to be the boss. We saw some in-game footage of this in that Korean dev video, which will be linked in the description for our breakdown for that video if you guys want to see it and haven't already done so. But basically, as you guys can see, how to enter the Guild Boss Challenge to the lower right-hand side, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it's just going to be in the same part that your guild raid and all that other stuff would be as far as where you can access this. So not much to talk about there, but let's talk about how this thing's going to play, because that's the most important thing. So, up to 3 fighters can be used to form a team, and the supporter cannot be used. So we're basically going to have kind of like what we have with, I guess, guild raid at this point. You can pick a guardian upon entering the dungeon, and the chosen guardian will have its own inherent effect applied. Huh, don't know what that means yet, but we'll find out tomorrow. The Guild Boss Challenge can be played once per day, so we can only play this once per day, and you will continue from what's left of the previous guild member's progress in terms of the Guardian's HP. So basically this thing's going to have a set amount of HP, and we're going to pick up wherever our teammates have left off, kind of like with Guild Raid. You can proceed with the next tier once the previous stage is cleared by defeating the Guardian. So basically what this means here is we are going to have different tiers to this boss. So again, kind of like Guild Raid, I suppose, but I guess we'll have to unlock those by beating the original one first. So it'll be kind of like a tiered system we can climb as a guild as we defeat this boss over and over. So that's kind of cool. You can practice the guild boss to learn the strategy. Ranking is disabled in practice. So we can practice this as well. So that's kind of nice that we can do that. We can't do that with Guild Raid. We just kind of have to get in and out and do that whole thing. And so on and so forth. So nice to see that they have that in there as an addition. And then as far as the rewards, we can get Guild Boss Challenge coins. So those are going to be what we are obtaining from this. And the Guild Boss Challenge coins obtained from the dungeon can be exchanged for Guild Boss Challenge mystery boxes in the dungeon exchange shop. So we will be able to change these out for something in a dungeon exchange shop. We don't know what that something is quite yet, but hopefully it will be good rewards. And then as far as ranking info, you can check the guild member rank, overall guild rank, previous overall guild rank, and the previous season's calculated record, so not much to talk about there. And then it gets into the season, so it looks like this thing is going to reset weekly on Sunday. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. So this is basically going to be a weekly rotation, kind of like what we're used to with most of this stuff. So yeah, guys, we have a new in-game event, or new in-game mode rather. This is going to be really, really cool, hopefully, as long as it is not bugged. So fingers crossed. Next up here, we're going to go ahead and talk about the new chapter of fight season. So we are going to have a new chapter of fight season. So that's always nice because you can pick up, of course, those rubies and those hammers, as well as all of those juicy materials to make your imprint stones. So great stuff overall. Now, other things here, they are adding, it looks like, Nameless and Ash from the last BS banner into the pool of characters we're going to fight. It looks like they're also going to have SSK in the opponent's team entry in stage 59. So basically they're just changing around some of the characters you're going to fight, and they're at different tiers. So not much to talk about. So next up we have events. So let's talk about the first thing here. We have a new rush dungeon. We'll talk more about these in depth when we get to the other separate notice, but we do have a new rush dungeon we already talked about. We have a new login bonus here, which really isn't much to talk about. It's kind of standard stuff. We are going to have a new challenge dungeon. Now this challenge dungeon is going to be very interesting because this is another tower. So you're going to need either Mary or Terry to get through this. It's going to be very similar from the looks of it to what we saw and what we've encountered with things such as the Guilty Gear collaboration and the Boss Syndrome banner that we just had. So overall, we know what to expect here. We're also going to have a new time attack challenge that we can only use Mary and Terry in. Again, just like what we just saw with that last BS banner. And then of course we are going to have that event codex, which we've seen before, but we'll talk more about when we get there. And then the KOF battle passes. There's actually something I need to point out here when we get to this part, because there's something I noticed that's very important, and we'll talk about it when we get there. So, and when it comes to new packages, I'm not going to get super in-depth with these. This is stuff that largely, to be honest with you guys, that I'm just going to talk about whenever we get to the actual update breakdown, but a lot of this is pretty much what we've come to expect. But we are going to be seeing some new normal packages as well. So as you guys can see, this is going to be the 26th update, and in a separate notice, they had told us before that we were going to be getting new subscription packages, meaning that we would get those packages where we're going to be able to obtain rubies once a day in our inbox for logging in for the first time for the day, for X amount of days, depending on which package we got. Those are always the best value of any package in the game for you to pick up, and being that we are going to be able to get new ones here, I'm super, super interested in these. You guys know this, I've talked about this several times. The only packages I'm really interested in at this point are subscription ones, and if we're getting all these new ones, which some of them are looking really, really solid, I'm very interested to see the pricing on these and how these compare to the ones we've had historically. So in general, you guys, there's a lot of stuff there, but I'm not going to be getting all into that today. Like I said, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But this is also really interesting. So for the buff celebration things that we're going to be getting for Adelheid and Rock, these packages here are going to have an Attack Moon Boss Fighter imprint stone. Oh boy, that could actually be super, super, super good, because there's so many great boss fighters in the game, not just Boss Syndrome, but boss fighters. There's a lot of characters in this game with the tag of boss fighter, and so this right here could be very, very good. I'm going to wait and see what this is going to cost and what the effect is going to be, but in general, that looks really interesting. So in general, you guys, that's what I'm seeing there. We're also going to be getting a Moon Fatal Fury imprint stone, and it is an attack stone. So again, guys, interesting stuff, but that could end up being really important for maybe a character like Terry or Mary. We'll have to wait and see, but great stuff overall. So that is what we've got there. There's a lot of stuff in here. Again, we'll go through it tomorrow. I'm not going to get into it today because this is already going to be a long enough video, but my main takeaways from this is those new subscription packages and these new attack stones look very, very interesting as far as the typings on them are concerned. So with all that being said, we have several improvements here. Nothing really stuck out to me. I always go through there in the hopes that I see something about slow-mo bug, but that never happens and probably never will. So with that being said, you guys, we are pretty much through this part of the update notice. The next thing we're going to have to go ahead and talk about here is actually going to be this push login reward event. So this is really cool, you guys. Basically, as you can see, starting on the 27th, we're going to be getting what equates to, I think if I read this right, we're getting 40 total summon tickets for the fighters for the new SS banner and 30 total tickets for the SS card banner. And we're going to be getting that every day in our inboxes over the course of the next week just for logging in. This is really, really cool. This means that we're basically going to get 4 multis for the fighters, 3 multis for the cards. And in general, while these are tickets, meaning they aren't going to count towards your mileage, unfortunately, whereas tokens would, this is still really, really cool stuff that these are all going to be multis. So you get a free multi every day. It's really, really cool. So that is what we've got with that, and that starts on the 27th, so keep that in mind. So you will be able to use not only your free login rubies that we've been sitting on, but you'll also have those. So you're going to get a lot of free summons with this event, which is really, really cool. So all of that being said, let's talk about the in-game event notice. So as you guys can see, we are going to have a new tower. So this tower is looking like it's pretty much going to be structurally the same as what we've come to expect. We have Terry, we have Mary, so not much to talk about there. We're going to need both of them, or one of them at least, in order to get through this. So I do plan on going in, Terry for me as a character I do love, so I would like to have, I'm gonna at least try to get one of him with the free rubies and those tickets. But in general, I'll take either of these characters just to get through some of this content, especially the time attack, because that is going to, of course, be very important for getting more rubies. So in general, they'll kind of pay for themselves in a way, depending on how much you get shafted. Anyway, next up, let's go ahead and talk about what we've got when it comes to the Rush Dungeon. So as you guys can see, the Wild and Furious Rush Dungeon is going to be what we are going to be seeing this time around for a Rush Dungeon event. It's structurally looking like it's going to be the same as what we've come to expect. I don't think I need to explain to you guys how Rush Dungeons work. The most interesting thing here is always going to be what all is entailed as far as what is in the Rush Dungeon exchange shop. So we'll have to wait and see what all the items are that we can exchange the currency for. But I'm hoping that this is one that I can save some AP on. We'll put it that way. I'm telling you guys, it's tough out here for everybody. So then we have this login bonus. We've talked about this. It's kind of trash, to be honest. There's not much to talk about there. The new event codex, not much to talk about here because we can't really tell much different, and this is pretty much exactly structurally what we've come to expect with these. Still, I prefer this look than what we had previously to this when we had all this stuff in the event tab. So in general, always pretty nice quality of life change with that. The new time attack for the new SS fighters, again, you need to have either Terry or Mary to do this, so that is going to be a big selling point because, again, you're going to miss out on a ton of rubies if you are not doing this. So this is very, very cool, but at the same time, it does force you to get the characters, which I get the feeling is why they're giving that push login event with all those tickets. But hey, it is what it is. Hopefully you just get lucky with your freebies, and you can save if you're somebody that isn't super interested in this banner. So next up, the battle passes. Now, you guys, if you've been here with the channel for a while, you would know that I have complained about the battle passes not being themed around whatever is going on for a very long time. Generally speaking, whenever we get the battle passes, whether it's the $5 or $10 one, it's $5, right? $5. Whenever we get the $5 one or the $50 one, it doesn't seem to matter. It's always kind of a generic pass that we've come to expect. However, that is not the case, and I think they might have gotten the memo with this one. So if we go through here, the first one, not important. That one's kind of the same. This is important. This right here, the $50 battle pass, has a BS and SS fighter memory selector. That's huge. Now, it doesn't say whether it's a generic selector or a actual fighter memory. I don't know what to say about it, like which one it would be. It says BS and SS fighter memory selector, so I'm almost thinking that it's going to be picking a memory for a character, maybe? Either way though, if it's just a generic memory, that's even better. So it doesn't matter either way it goes, either way is great, but I'm so glad that they finally caught on and started doing this. This is such a big deal for these types of passes if they want to sell these things, which you would think they would want to do. But if you go through this thing, has a ton of really good value. You have an Attack Moon and Star Plus Imprint Stone Selection Box. That's big. That's something I think we've seen with these before, but still important to note. And we also have the Platinum Battle Card Selectors ×2, and you get a lot of hammers. So in general, this is pretty darn good, especially considering the fact that you still get things like the rubies and all this other stuff. So I'm gonna wait and see what this looks like whenever it goes live. This should go live, it looks like later on tomorrow night. So yeah, guys, really big though that this BS and SS fighter memory selector's here. Huge thing. So do not sleep on that if you're somebody that doesn't mind spending a little bit of money. Now, we are also going to have some new event missions. So as you guys can see here, if you participate in the new Guild Boss Challenge for the first time, you're going to get hammers. So they're rare enhancement hammers. You get 2 of them. Not a lot, but hey, we'll take what we can get. And then as far as the new chapter fight season, same thing we've always had with that. Not much to talk about there. So, you know, it's pretty much standard stuff. Now, that pretty much does it for the update. I think I pretty much covers all of CM Yuri's updates for us here, if I do remember correctly. So that would mean that now what we can do is we can go ahead and we can get back to the trailer and we can start talking about that. Because as you guys are going to see, there's some fun stuff in this trailer for these characters. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and watch this thing and we're going to give our thoughts. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, here we go. We'll slow this thing down after we watch it in its full glory. Well, this looks like Terry's new 3PG here. So the mocap that Boss Kriz did for that, yeah, that's a charge skill. That's clearly a charge skill. And yeah, there's a lot of quick, rangy skills on Terry there. Now with Mary, I think from what I can tell, and we'll be able to tell better whenever we get the breakdown in slow motion, she only has 1 grab that I can tell. But now this looks awesome. I love her 3PG animation. This looks so good. Yamazaki just getting absolutely demolished there. That looks so cool. All right, so let's slow this down. We'll take it back, and then we'll go ahead and we will go to 0.25 speed, and we'll kick back and we'll watch this. So, first up here, you guys are going to see what appears to be the 3PG animation for Terry. So we are going to have Terry showing off his dance moves in his new 3PG finisher from the looks of it. In general, looking like a nice long 3PG animation from what I can tell. However, we'll have to wait and see the full breadth of this thing and how it looks. This could also be fancy editing, but I do think that this is the new 3PG. Not sure how I feel about the dance moves in there with it, but hey, you know what? We'll take it. It's not a big deal. It's still super cool. His fist, hold on. I know it's not important, but hold on. I just caught something. Everybody's like, this video's long enough, TBR. Jesus. Sorry. I saw something and I have to see if I was imagining things. It's coming up here. Come on. Come up right here. He literally just puts his fist right through him. Oh, well. I think he got him. All right. Sorry, I saw that and I had to point that out. It's the little things in life, you know? But yeah, Terry's portrait looks great. The art in this game always looks awesome, so no complaints on my end there. Looking awesome. Good for you, Terry. So we do have a charge skill. So this is going to be his charge skill here. I prefer charge skills to derive skills personally, at least from what we've had so far. So liking that. This guy right here going to have some great range on it. So that's looking really nice. And overall, his animations look pretty quick. So that is also going to be boding well for him. Overall, good stuff. All of those should have off the ground too. So right here, this is the grab that I was talking about. So it does look like Mary is going to have 1 grab. However, right here, you can tell that that is not a grab. She starts out with a strike, so that shouldn't be anything more than a strike skill. And then this one also should be a strike skill. So it looks like she's going to have a grab and 2 strike skills from the looks of it. However, we'll have to wait and see. I like the rose petals there. That was really cool. So portrait wise, she also looks amazing. She has her motorcycle. It looks great. So that looks awesome. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. So she's got the motorcycle. She's going to be riding it in her 3PG animation. And the cityscape in the background looks absolutely sick. I love the animation on this. Everything about this thing. I love this 3PG finisher. It looks so good. Now, these 3PG finishers should be accessible for the other versions or iterations of these characters as well. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, we see Yamazaki falling from the sky there and just getting donutted to death. Good lord. Death by donut. Loving it. That's great. That looks awesome. She gives the wink at the end and the bang. All right. Overall, you guys, looking awesome. This update looks sick. Overall, I think that about covers everything that comes with this update that they gave us. So if there's anything I missed, you guys can point it out in the comment section down below. It wouldn't surprise me considering there's so much to go through, but I think we got through the main bits. Let me know in the comment section as well what you guys are most excited for. Do you plan on pulling for either of these characters? Let me know. I'm very interested personally in seeing what Terry has to offer. I'm happy that we didn't get Rock this time around. However, with those buffs, I do get the feeling that he could be right around the corner. So in general, good stuff overall. I think this update looks really positive. We get new content, we get an awesome push login event, and in general, I'm liking what I'm seeing. So you guys let me know in the comments section down below what you think of all of this stuff. If I missed anything, you let me know what that was so I can go ahead and maybe make a pinned comment if it's important enough. But in general, I'll go ahead and cover everything in more detail in tomorrow's video as always. But like I said, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Continue.